The views and opinions expressed on this program are solely those of the host and guest and do not reflect the opinions or policies of the station, its owners, or its advertisers. All content should be considered editorial in nature. Listener discretion is advised.
Recorded live from the radio studios of WFAY and WMRV, Androlonis Media presents Cumberland County's smartest hour of talk radio. Welcome back to another edition of The Carolina Cabinet.
Well, everyone, good morning and welcome to the Carolina Cabinet. I'm Peter Pappas, and I'll be your host this morning. We're proud to be the only homegrown conservative talk radio show in the region, and we know this is the smartest hour of radio. Joining me in the Cabinet this morning is Mr. Leonard Bryant.
Woo-hoo.
Good to see you, sir. Good morning. And Ms. Carrie J.
Fire the liberty. The liberty.
The Unit
Fire
Party.
the liberty.
You're
Fire
failing
the
me
liberty.
this morning. My goodness. And,
Fire the liberty.
And returning Bishop J. Antoine Miner.
Here.
Good morning. So as we dive into our show, we appreciate you tuning in and spending time with us this morning. Please take a moment to like, share, or follow us on Facebook and look for us on your favorite podcast broadcaster. You can also go to thecarolinacabinet.com and you can find all of our episodes. So with that, don't go far. We'll be right back.
Since 2012, Joshua Goodman has been the senior pastor at the Cliffdale Christian Center, a dynamic church and ministry located in West Fayetteville. Join our friend Pastor Goodman for a podcast or a live sermon in person at 6427 Cliffdale Road. Now for today's good news. Here is Joshua Goodman.
And standing in for Pastor Joshua Goodman, we have the great Bishop J. Antoine Miner. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, my good man.
Give us the good news.
All right. So let me say it in the Pastor Josh kind of way. In a day and time when the world seems to be going crazy from one coast to the next, my friends, I have good news for you. All right. So I was going to go a different way, but I'm going to be nice this morning. So when we look at all the chaos and all the unrest that's stirring up around the country, fires burning again, it's starting to look like 2020 all over again. And people are frustrated. People are scared. People are agitated. People are angry. People are lashing out. People are protesting, and they have a right to do so because our Constitution gives them that right. But to those of us who are looking on with frustration and aggravation, I want to leave this scripture with you today, and that's John 14:27. Where Jesus says, "Peace I leave with you, my peace I give you. I do not give it to you as the world gives. Do not let your hearts be troubled, and do not be afraid." That's the good news right there. Jesus said, "My peace I give to you." What peace is that? It's the peace that the Bible talks about that passes all understanding. When everything around you is going crazy, haywire, and just funky, there's a peace that passes all understanding. The Bible says it will guard your heart and your mind through Christ Jesus. So the good news for today is, in the midst of chaos, he leaves his peace with you. Have peace and tell your peace to be still. God bless you.
A conservative local radio talk show that you're not afraid to tell your friends about. The Carolina Cabinet, land of the free thinkers, and talk show of the brave.
And of the brave we are. Good morning, everyone. Welcome back.
Good morning.
So we have a fun-filled morning this morning. We have some pretty good topics. It's been a busy week or weekends.
Yes.
So, Leonard, we always start, say, what have you been up to? So what you been up to? What'd you do last weekend?
Nothing. No.
I know that's a lie.
That's good.
I went to the convention, Republican convention in Raleigh, and just had a chance to talk to
Greensboro.
Oh, in Greensboro. Okay, yeah, it wasn't Greensboro. It was in North Carolina. I'm sorry.
I was like,
I can't
what?
her.
I was like, what?
I can't her.
There was one in Raleigh,
he
too.
stopped
Wait a
by
minute.
Raleigh for there was a concert.
Yeah,
probably.
there it is.
I said Raleigh. No, Greensboro. I'm sorry.
That's what those conventions do to you. It is a whirlwind of people And so, did you see anybody you knew? What do you feel like you
45
accomplished at the
minutes away.
convention?
I think just to have my voice heard, we voted for chair, vice chair. Listened to a lot of good speakers talk. So just being able to connect with people, and I had the Frederick Douglass Foundation up there was good. So I think it was good overall, just to get to see some familiar faces.
It's good to be around friendly faces, I guess. So, Carrie, what you been up to the last week or so that you can talk about?
Keeping sanity.
Keeping sanity at bay, or trying to embrace sanity? Which one?
Trying to embrace the peace.
You're not trying to keep it arm's
that
length.
God sent
okay.
us.
Okay. God bless you. We're here for you, baby. That's all I got to
the
say.
Peace that God sent us.
All right, Bishop. Thanks for giving me the good news. So, what's been the last couple of weeks? You released a book recently.
I did.
And
I
how's
released
that
the
going?
book. That's been going good. Sales have been moving.
Good.
Not as many sales as I would like, but they've been coming in, and I've been getting people reaching out to me saying, "Hey, I ordered your book." Like, keep on ordering. Make sure you don't order it for anybody else unless you order them their own copy.
There you go.
But book sales are moving. Getting ready for the first book event, which will be at Cliffdale Christian Church on Cliffdale Road here in Fayetteville, and that'll be on June 28th at 8 a.m.
Okay.
So we'll be there talking about facing the storms, dealing with life's natural disasters, and doing that. And other than that, just raising teenagers and trying not to lose my absolute mind.
So, are those teenagers done with school for the summer?
They are done with school.
And what jobs
they are
have you
not
found
done
for them?
with me,
Uh-huh.
but I am finishing up. As I said before, when I started going through my hard drive, I started looking at things that I had written, messages that I had taught, and compiling them into books. And so one that I'm finishing up now is called Raising Minors. It's interesting.
Okay.
You know, when I start backtracking through my mind and looking at lessons that they've taught me and lessons that I guess I've taught them, it's been good. But other than that, let's see, what else did we do? We went to this new restaurant up in Raleigh. I don't really want to say, I'm going to say their name, but they're going to pay me for this. Oh, it's called Okeomi. It's a hibachi, Okeomi. Okome, and it's in Raleigh. They got two locations, one Raleigh, one Wake Forest, but we went to the Raleigh one. I found it on TikTok because they said that they had all-you-can-eat sushi and hibachi. And we went and we ate for about 2 hours like pigs. We big-backed it.
They didn't see you coming.
They didn't see me
Not at
coming
all.
because they give you 2 hours to eat. And it's not expensive. It was only like $25.99. It was all you can eat. They had the dessert, fried Oreos and deep fried cheesecake and all this stuff. And it's all included. So me and the kids went up and pigged out. And then they felt that I needed to walk off some of that. So they invited me to take them to the mall.
Oh, yeah.
Where they walked off some of the weight of my wallet.
I bet.
And so, that was my week.
Okay.
It
Big
also
week.
helped you digest your food too.
That's right. They're just looking out for you, Dad.
I'm still digesting.
That's all.
I'm still digesting.
They might be minors, but they ain't no dummies.
I promise
So,
you, especially that daughter of mine.
She's going to rule the roost. I know that.
Yes, sir.
So I, like Leonard, was at the GOP convention this weekend, although I went up and back in one day.
I should have went with
The
you.
only thing I voted for was when we had to stand and sit down, when the chairman couldn't determine if it was yay or nays. You know, I felt bad for those tellers. They had to run all over counting, and it was over a vote, I think, about whether we're going to adjourn or not. And the chairman's like, look, I was going to adjourn anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But it was good to see everybody up there. I saw a lot of people that we don't see often. I saw State Auditor Dave Bolick. I saw Representative Diane Wheatley. I saw Mr. Abdul Ali, who's been on our show before. Frederick Douglass Foundation. What's his role there? He is the executive director, I think.
Abdul Ali, I'm not sure, but I know he just got appointed to another position within the
party.
state GOP.
Yeah.
So, congratulations. I don't
Yeah.
remember exactly what the name of it was. I saw it pop up on my feed the other day.
Well,
So, congratulations.
I love Abdul because he will. So first of all, somebody hacked his name up and said they were reading his name off a list because he's on one of those committees for the plan of organization, and they said Mr. Abdul Allah.
Oh,
So
wow.
I immediately whip out the phone and I text him. I say, "Hey, good morning, Mr. Allah." Because his name really, I say this about Abdul, and I consider him a friend, but I always say to people, he's a black conservative with an unfortunate name, being a Republican. Because you hear Abdul Ali, you don't think red.
Yeah.
But he has a very successful podcast, The Urban Conservative.
Doesn't he have a twin brother?
He does. He does. And I think they're both on the show together.
They do it together, yeah.
He does he's got like 1.5 million followers. Anyway, I admire the guy. I saw him there. It was good to see him. I also, my first time ever, went to Raleigh last week and toured the legislature.
Oh.
I'd never been in
Really?
the legislature building.
Your
Never.
first time?
My first time.
Oh, I've taken the kids up
Nothing
there.
like your first time, baby.
Yeah.
But
The kids got to go up there and hit the speaker's gavel. And,
Okay.
And Diane Wheatley took us to lunch and all that stuff. So.
Well, I was there on behalf of the Greater Fayetteville Chamber of Commerce.
You were
we
lobbying.
We were lobbying a little bit.
Awesome.
The chamber has some goals they want to meet, and so they actually allowed me to be in the room, which I thought was interesting. And Carrie just gave me
Why
some
did
side
you-
eye.
Why did you think that was interesting? You are the chair of the government
I am
relations
the
committee.
chair of the government relations. I just still find it funny that I'm treated like an adult all of a sudden. Like I'm the adult in the room, and they're wanting me. So, okay, let me put it like this: you're getting a sandwich maker to go to Capitol Hill. Okay, basically that's essentially what you got. Okay,
Makes
so,
one heck of a sandwich.
So I get up there, and the schedule's all over the place. We were going to meet with the entire delegation from Cumberland County, plus 1 or 2 people that were in like Hope County delegation and all. So it was a busy. From 9 until 2, we had a pack. Every 15 minutes, we're going to see somebody. Well, the person that we saw first was not the first one on our list, the way that things were shaping up. But that was Senator Val Applewhite. And we got in to see Senator Applewhite, I'm sorry. And it's just funny because everybody's tight-lipped when they're in the room with the senator. And here I am like, well, come on, Senator. They asked me why you're coming to me first,
you up there.
and I said because you're the top of the list. Like my day can only get worse from here. So but she was very cordial. She was very welcoming. I feel sorry for her office though. It's a little cubby hole. I don't know who she made mad.
Is she like the junior?
She's
senator?
a junior, I guess, senator. And that's just. It's party politic. So if you're in the minority party, then you get the tiny offices. So definitely there's some old boy stuff. The building was designed that way, though. That's what it is. So.
Is her office bigger than this room?
No.
No?
Actually, I think her entire office is this room, including the receptionist.
Yeah, that's when you just work from home.
But then again, too, I think a lot of work they need to be doing as state representatives is at home anyway. They need to be up there to vote.
Or in the chambers.
In the chambers, and that's it. They don't need to be in that office. So, But anyway, it was a good all over round. I saw a friend of mine, Mr. Garland, Representative Garland Pierce from Hope County. I've known him since I wasn't really that much
knee-high to a
shorter back
grasshopper?
then. Well, I didn't grow
He's
that
still
tall, so I
knee-high
can't
to a
say.
grasshopper.
I still am. But it's just nice seeing people that are dedicated to public service. WTVD interviewed Laura Musler and myself at the Resource Center today. So Trump's coming tomorrow.
Yes, he
who's
is.
going? Who's going? Anybody going?
Where's he going to be?
He's going to be at Fort Bragg. He's celebrating
I
the
don't
250th
really like the pomp and
birthday of
circumstance.
the Army.
I may need to be on Fort Bragg tomorrow.
Okay.
Not
you
Fort
can
Liberty.
go. Well, you might want to get there early, though. Because you've been to a passing review and all. You know the pomp and circumstance. So you might
It's a
want to get
passing
there.
review for the non-Army guy in the room.
Oh, it's
I'm in the
it's
room
literally
with,
just that.
It's 4
when,
people, 3
it's when the
Army
commander,
and 1 civilian.
It's when the commander passes and
Okay.
reviews a crowd.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
there's like there's a whole thing. Like it's a whole thing.
So it's sort of going to be a microcosm of the actual 250-year celebration parade. It's to the civilians is a parade. It's a parade to us too. But he's going to do a passing review as the commander in chief.
Okay.
So all of the equipment and everything will ride by.
So he's visiting, but it's actually a thing that they're going to do it. Like he's got an official role too. He's not just here to say hi.
No.
Okay.
Now I have a question. Now is he still trying to do the other parade? Like is this? I'm hoping this is in lieu of that parade. Correct.
I'm not sure.
What other parade?
He's having the parade down
In
14th
DC?
Street.
In D.C.?
Saturday, I'm thinking.
I mean, I
probably
did
will.
see. I did
Oh
see.
yeah, he's doing the big parade on Saturday.
I did see a train with a lot of tankers on it, and I was like, and then I heard the news about him coming to Bragg, and I was like, oh yay, he's gonna come here and
these are the
do what
preliminaries for the main event, which would be in D.C.
That sounds great.
Okay. Well, look, the President of the United States is coming to our little humble abode down here
And
in Fayetteville, Fort
good
Bragg.
it's good for Fayetteville. It's good for Fort Bragg.
I think Chairman Sykes of GOP, he was on the news on the same interview, and he said that Fort Bragg's the center of the Army universe.
It is largest
so
military installation.
It's the largest
in the world.
installation, so it's good. I have pictures of President Reagan coming here in 1984 when we were first time we were All America City, when it meant something. Now you just pay for it.
So next question.
Yes, ma'am.
When the Navy turns 250 later on this year, is he going to go to the shipyard?
I would imagine so.
Okay.
One thing we don't have to worry about President Trump is where he feels, how he feels towards service members. I don't think we have to wonder that that's one of his favorite things, favorite topics. But we're a little out of order. I was going to talk about local stuff and then national, but we're on national. So you know what? Did anybody see Trump deploying the National Guard to California?
Did anybody?
He went around Governor Newsom.
Yeah.
And so he sent him in. So what?
But here's the thing. He didn't go around Governor Newsom. He has the constitutional right to call up the National Guard and to activate and federalize them if he feels that there is a rebellion, the nation is being overrun. The Constitution gives him that right. So when I see people like Mayor Bass and Gavin Newsom saying these things, it's like, dude, have you read the Constitution? The man is within his power and authority to do so. You have police officers. I said this yesterday online. You're watching LASD on the highway and watching highway patrol, and they can't move. They're having their vehicles glass shattered with rocks. What if those rocks hit other traffic coming on and cause a civilian to crash and kill themselves and be killed? At this point, my thing was, listen, I was sitting at the TV yelling, saying, send in the National Guard, clear that bridge. I mean, you use as little lethal force as you have to, but when it gets to this point that you are now putting the public in danger, clear the bridge, get them out of there, use whatever tear gas, rubber bullets, pepper pebbles, whatever you got to use, push them back, because what they're waiting for is nightfall. Because the truth of the matter is, most of the people that be out there doing all of that chaos, they're not there for the protest. They're there because they're anarchists and they're looking for a reason to cause problems. Clear the area, because the true protesters leave at a certain time because they got to get up for work the next day. The ones who staying out because California is 3 hours behind us, so I was up watching this until like 3:30 this morning, and I'm like, what is taking so long? Clear the area. And then I don't know if anybody watched it, but there was a guy who started doing backwards donuts in his minivan. He sideswiped somebody on a motorcycle and was going at a top speed all over the city. And I'm like, where's the police? The news helicopter is chasing him. But I guess the police were tracking him, because when he finally stopped, within about 2 minutes, they was on him like white on rice. No offense, Peter.
So the president had... You be race baiting me all the time, Bishop. So, you see, Leonard, that's why I need you here to balance him out a little bit. I got overactive and I got mellow. But look, I don't think anybody has to think very far to look at what's going on and treat this as an invasion. You've got people, and okay, you can maybe tell me more about U.S. flag code and all, but the last time I checked, if you want to wave a foreign flag, the American flag needs to be in proximity higher than that flag and to the right or the left, right? It has to be displayed properly. If you're running down the street flying a Mexican flag, setting fire to stuff, I'm going to treat you like an enemy combatant.
Yeah,
so, am I going to feel sorry if these guys get waterboarded? I'm not.
I was saying,
I'm sorry,
open up the fire hydrants and just bust them loose.
If that didn't have such a racist connotation from the Watts riots, you can say it.
I can say it. My people
Bishop is going to use his racial card, and he is going to allow.
I only get a few.
The use of hoses. Okay.
To clear that square, you have to.
So as of 4 p.m. today, 60 people have been arrested by LA.
That's still not enough.
So
it's not enough.
You're not peacefully protesting. You're not. This is akin to January 6th type of stuff. I mean, they want to talk about
No,
insurrection.
January 6th was patriots.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
There was people-
I mean,
look.
I
you
mean,
had
I'm
people
not.
in the
I'm
wrong
not saying
place
that,
on
and I'm
January
sorry.
6th.
I say that very sarcastically, but I do want to make that clear. But it was patriots. So I mean, if you're going to compare it, like you can't say
they're
that
patriots of
oh they
Mexico.
were insurrectionists and then say that they were patriots. Like I'm gonna need y'all to pick a
And
side
January
because
6th.
if we're talking about
you know what?
insurrectionists,
I pick my side. I'm an American citizen. You want to be patriotic for Mexico, then go down Mexico.
and
no, I'm saying that. I was just saying because I was just saying point of clarification because you said that this is almost like January 6th. So if you're gonna say,
so let me
Peter?
clarify. So to me, the left is treating this, or is not treating it like they treated January 6th. It's like,
of course it's not.
you know, it was kind of the same thing. You had people in groups in places they shouldn't be doing things they shouldn't do, but the left ain't, you know, getting mad at these people. They're encouraging them like there's some kind of pop culture icon or something, like what they're doing. And I want to know who's looking at what's happening, saying, "Well, that's a noble effort."
I think that
I don't think. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go, please.
I think that several things are at play here. First thing that I think Mayor Bass and Governor Newsom have forgotten is that President Trump won the election.
Overwhelmingly.
With
Yes.
a 5 million person majority. So they're forgetting that there are a lot of Californians that voted for him because of them. So when you look at what's happening in Los Angeles particularly, I think they're forgetting, just like they passed a proposition that said this, you stealing up to $1,000 is good and you don't go to jail. BS,
misdemeanor. Yeah,
that's gone. You know, and so now you see California starting to actually turn a little bit more red than it was before. And for every person that was out at night, there are thousands of people who own businesses, who want to get their kids to school, who want to live life on a daily, who are furious at them. And so I think that they're spectacularly tone deaf and not reading the collective room and saying, you know, people are sick of what you are supporting.
Absolutely.
And you just came off of burning Los Angeles nearly to the ground, and you want more unrest. And that's the thing that I don't think they get.
Yeah, of course they don't get it. They are, like you said, tone deaf. They are community blind. And I think it's because when you look at their demographic, especially in LA, when you look at their demographic, how many how large the Hispanic population is, they're trying to feed that base. But if you look at the number of people that were out there as opposed to the number of people that are in that community, the far majority of people were like, we ain't got time for this nonsense. It was a small collective, but the problem is that small collective always seems to do the most damage and make the most noise.
And how many of them are actually residents of LA?
Exactly.
That's another thing.
Exactly, but you see people like Newsom and Mayor Bass trying to placate by saying, oh, we don't support violence in our community, and you'll be held to the fullest extent of the law, but it's Trump's fault. Because, watch this, because he brought in the National Guard. And I was sitting there saying, wait a minute, but 5 minutes ago y'all said the National Guard hadn't even been there yet. They were just called up. He only had about 300 on the ground. They weren't doing anything. So now you're saying because they believe the National Guard is coming, that this is what they're doing. Then they had a commentator on one of the news stations earlier saying that the reason they are protesting and rioting in LA is because of the military parade that Trump is going to be holding on the 14th. And I'm sitting there saying, you guys
they're trying to justify it any way they can.
But they can't.
But they have no basis because the person that is here illegally has broken our law fundamentally when they step toe over our border.
Oh no, but that's
Okay.
not a
no,
crime.
Well,
Peter.
no one is illegal. You're right. But you broke our law.
They are illegal.
So, Carrie, you've been wanting to jump in, so please jump in.
Fire the uniparty.
Go ahead, dear. She is smiling so
see that-
sweetly.
you see
I'm
that
afraid to
chuckle?
see what's about to come
See
out.
that
Bring
chuckle?
out the long
That is
knives.
the look of I have a knife under this pillow. I may have allegedly seen that kind of look in a woman's eyes before. So, Carrie, honey, take it away.
No, so you remember how you asked me, you know, how I was doing this or what's been going on this week, and I said that, you know, I deferred back to the good news that Bishop had stated about, you know.
No, you said you were trying to hold on to sanity.
Peace. I was trying to hold on to sanity, and then, you know, be surrounded by God's peace, and that's how I look at things from here going forward, because the way that everything is transpiring, we are at a shifting. So and it's you know, it's I guess it's about time because we are turning 250 here. You understand what I'm saying? And so with that, there comes the growing pains of how we've grown as a nation. Mm-hmm. And there are some things that are distasteful, and everybody has their own thoughts. And one side could say that one side is tone deaf. The other side could say that the other side is tone deaf. So you think this is kind of
cathartic, like we're getting the poison out by some of this?
I can't say that we're getting the poison out. I can say that the poison is running frequent, loud, and free.
It can't stay inside.
On both sides, like it's not a, to me it's no, and that's why I always say fire the uniparty, because it's not a side thing to me. Like it's not like red or blue, because people that are red are also like blue and blue, and it's not that to me. Do you understand what I'm saying? When it comes down to it, it's a matter of protecting and defending the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, both foreign and domestic. And there are some things that, I hold dear to this great nation as America. I mean, immigration is an issue. Yes, how we're going about it, I can't say it's 100% right. I can't say it's 100% wrong. I mean, I've had issue with...
It's not a matter of opinion. The law is the law.
The law is the law, but I've had
people that are being detained have broken the law.
Yes. However, also, when you have things that like, and I've mentioned this before, wet foot, dry foot, and other policies that expedite and give shelter and services to one group of people and not to the other segment of people, or when you do different deals and stuff because of certain situations, then that's what brings us to the situation
go a little deeper.
that we are.
This is the issue with that. Yes, there are screwed up things in our system. Absolutely. Why people wait 5, 10 years, 20 years to become legalized citizens, that's ridiculous. I mean, this is 2025. We have Zoom. Like we can get things done. I mean, I think that was one of the issues of the GOP was they're trying to shrink the number of people on our GOP state board so that they can have quorum easier, because not everybody can travel to go to the meetings. I'm like, wait a minute. We go from Murphy to Manteo. It's a huge state, but we can't use Zoom for these business meetings, and just somebody raised that, so there's got to be a better way than what it is. But see,
but we're past that.
Picking up illegal people, illegal aliens, is not the time to argue what we think about and have a commentary on the immigration system.
But I don't think that's the problem.
We don't like it.
I don't think that's the problem. I think the issue is when you are picking up illegal aliens the same way that you pick up black people in the 1990s, 1970s, 1960s. That's where people have an issue with, like, because it is foreseen to be a violation of their human rights and their.
I haven't heard.
Not to say that they have, and I'm not here to discuss. I'm not trying to discuss on the immigration per se. Do you understand what I'm saying?
So you think it's a triggering event for African Americans?
I'm not saying it's a triggering event for African Americans, because I was just using that as a reference. Do you understand what I'm saying? I mean, we can throw the Japanese in there or the Irish, whichever. I don't care, whatever group, color, people Irish, you want to throw in there, but you can throw, and that's. But to me, the fact that you can throw in all those different groups, regardless of their shade of color, because of how they were treated at one point in America's history, that goes to show America's history, and that goes to showing how we can come together. But the thing is that we are not at a point of coming together. So one of the things that I did want to actually mention is I wanted to remind people, in lieu of all of these protests and everything that's going on, is that in the North Carolina, they're actively going through legislation that will, I guess, like, your job could block you if you are participating in a mass riot, regardless if it becomes a riot. But if it's a mass protest, they have the ability to say that you cannot come back to work. So just make sure.
So here's the thing. So what House bill are you talking about specifically? Do you know? And I'm pretty sure, without looking at it, that there has to be some kind of criminal charge or element to it that would enable the employer to terminate you.
There is,
and that's already in many people's employment contracts.
You could be fired for your Facebook post.
Yeah,
you can. And I am just trying to. I want to make people well aware. So you can't say that. Oh, I didn't know. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because
they'll
that's
know
a lot
pretty quick.
Because a lot of times. a lot of times what happens is a lot of people think that they can do this because, I have a right to protest. You have a right to protest peaceably. Do you understand what I'm saying?
But you don't have a right to avoid consequences.
You do not have a right to avoid consequences. You don't have a right to throw something. You do not have a right to push an officer. You do not have you have a right to hold a sign, and that's what you have a right to do.
Of our society right now, what we've had problems with anyway, with people respecting authority, and whether it's right or wrong, take the ticket, shut your mouth, get off the side of the road.
And it's Senate Bill 484.
Senate Bill 4, and that's North Carolina Senate 484.
It's workplace violence prevention, mass picketing. Okay. So it's not just about the violence, that could come. It's if it is a mass picketing event.
Does it give employers like a mechanism to kick 400 protesters off their private property?
Yes, it does.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, if there's protocol, there's reasons for it, and I'm not saying that there's not reasons for it. And just with everything, I just want to make sure that people are educated on certain things.
And
you understand what I'm saying? And
here's what people have to understand from the employer standpoint. When you go out and do anything, you represent my company. Even when you're not working, you represent my company. So if you're out there picketing and doing whatever, it has a potential to have a negative connotation against the business that I run. And at that point, I have the right, and at will, I can terminate you if I feel that your behavior violates whether it's the employee handbook, whether it's policies, or makes my company look bad. I don't have to employ you if you're out there making my company look bad. And so I think what people who are listening should really take heed to is you have to make sure that you have a right to do whatever you want to do. You want to go out and protest. You want to go out and throw bricks. You got a right to go out and throw bricks. But
do some research.
Why are you making it complicated? Just get to the point and say, look,
there's consequences.
Have consequences.
Yes, you should research.
In other words, that's the F around and find out.
I mean, look, you lay down with somebody and make a baby. That's your baby.
That's your baby.
You go out there and set a fire. Well, I mean.
Wait a minute.
What?
Well,
who said?
I'm just, hey, you got a responsibility.
Talk to Dana first.
Who?
Dana.
Who
DNA. Dana don't lie.
Right.
Yeah, I'm just saying,
some of us
people
so
should do their research and be educated.
Okay, so.
One of the things I think is
a
real problem is that I was just looking here to see the number of fentanyl deaths in 2023, 81,000. So the idea that what's taking place primarily at the southern border is absolutely a mass invasion. And it's bringing with it human trafficking. It's bringing with it drugs that have killed millions. And so what I think the president has done was taken bold steps to say, look, this stops. And so it doesn't matter that I was listening to some guy who was talking about the people that they picked up. One was from China. One was from, I don't know, a couple other places. And they targeted specifically people who have violated the law. They said it would do that. But the problem that we're having is this brings a lot of difficulty with it. And so in order for us to really have a prosperous United States, we really have to attack the drug problem. And no one else has been willing to do that. Now, when you tell the cartel that they're a foreign enemy, that changes the game. Because I can bring the power of the United States military against them and say, if you want to play this game, I'm going to play it with you. I promise you, you're going to lose.
And we're going to win.
I have to have a passion about helping take care of Americans. One other thing that bothers me a whole lot about this debate is that I've heard some people say some hideous things. So our dear representative, I can't think of her name, the young lady that was getting into it with Taylor Greene at the...
you're talking about Jasmine Crooked Weave?
Miss Crockett. She said,
Representative Crockett.
We need to have illegal immigration because we're not going to the cotton fields anymore.
Yeah,
what an insult, first and foremost. No one should go to the cotton fields.
Right.
But the gig is you have companies that have been underpaying illegal immigrants for decades. So make them pay a fair wage to Americans. Decades. So that's the problem that we're having. Black people particularly suffer from this. And so we need to deal with the problem. President Trump is taking a bold stand to say no more. And so with all of these things that Doge is finding out, it really is about who is unbelievably corrupt. There are a lot of people, like you said, the Uniparty, on both sides, they get in their pockets swollen with money from laws that are passed that do not benefit the American people. Now, that's the first thing. And I got to leave you with some words from my good friend Saul Alinsky back in the 60s, who wrote a book called Rules for Radicals. He dedicated to Satan. He said, accuse your enemy of what you are doing to sow confusion. And so when I look at what they're doing, they're the insurrectionists. Wow. You had it right. They are the insurrectionists. They're the ones who want to, enter into what Marx says is, or not Marx, but Hegel, which was a 17th century philosopher, said, burn the system down. And they want to burn the United States down, and that means the Constitution and the values and protections that come with it. And so it's important for us to see what's really going on, and not just to look at sound bites and what people are saying, but what she said was disgusting. So why don't we get all the legal immigrants out of our country and make these companies pay a fair wage to Americans? That's the first, one of the first steps.
And I think people take it on a one-to-one exchange when they talk about putting Americans to work. The illegals took our jobs. You're talking about, 3 illegals equals 1 American worker's salary. It's not, I'm going to take 10 workers out and put 10 Americans in. It raises the prosperity for everybody if we stop getting this bargain basement illegal labor.
It's hard, and I know I'm
fair wages for everybody.
Yeah, but
like that
let's not go crazy with the fair wage, because what's fair?
I was about to ask the same question. What is fair when it comes to wages
for everybody?
So I do want to warn everybody. I don't know if you saw it before you came in, but there is a rally in downtown Raleigh today for the ICE raids. They're basically protesting.
Actually, that's why I made the statement, because I wanted to educate people. Yeah. So if you go out there and you pick up a sign, just know that you may not have your job.
But see, the thing is, and like Bishop said, I don't think a lot of the people with the jobs is out there with the placards.
No, they're not.
They might not.
I know damn well the ones setting fires and stuff ain't got jobs anyhow.
They might not.
Did you ever notice that the Red Wing shoe store didn't get robbed and looted?
The who?
The Red Wing shoe store.
No,
you didn't know that? No. Downtown LA, whatever. They do the Apple store and the Limited and all that other stuff, but not Red Wing shoes. That's where the work boots are.
And then, if I'm not mistaken,
I've got pictures to support that, by the way. I'm not just saying some racist stuff right here. I mean,
well, we know you're not racist.
I mean, as long as you know.
But if I'm not mistaken, there's supposed to be a protest here when Trump comes. If I'm not mistaken.
That probably is not.
But my thing is, you're going to.
And I'm hoping that because they're protesting one thing, but these protests have a tendency to take on minds of their own, so to speak, and spiral into something else. And then you look at the nonsense. I was looking
what
at
is the purpose?
The president of Mexico threatening the United States. Talk about they're going to what was the word she used?
Take away my taco wrappers.
What?
Peter.
Be nice.
I was
Peter.
looking for something else, and I just interjected.
But she was pretty much saying that if America doesn't America tries to send these people back, that they're going to mobilize. Who are you mobilizing against? Yeah. See, at that point, that is a clear.
Wait a minute. But I thought they might show up at their own border and stop people from
back to Mexico. Trump is sending them to Ecuador.
But here's the point to that.
El Salvador.
The minute she said that,
I think that's
the minute the president of Mexico said we will mobilize, what she did as a foreign leader, as the head of state of a foreign government, was she threatened this country. That, to me, is an act of war. And at that point, the president, if I'm not mistaken, has the right to respond with military force, because you've just threatened to...
Well, the president can't. The Congress can.
Well, he's authorized under the War Powers Act to operate for 45 days, and then it has to go before Congress.
Then Congress, but that first
is that
45,
necessarily constitutional? Nope. I'm just saying.
That's how
you know what else is not. You know what else is not.
I mean, that's something that he's gonna do it, but I'm just saying when you talk about it, I just like to put things back in the perspective. Is that it will take
an
act of Congress. It's an act of Congress. Is what
he probably won't. But let me tell you what else is not constitutional. All of these 700 and something district judges. They're not constitutional. They were created by Congress, not by the Constitution. They have no authority. See, that's why I couldn't be the president, because I would have come out of the news and said, try me. I'm going to push forward and do what I need to do. And the only court that will hold me up is the Supreme Court, because we are 3 separate but equal branches. You don't outrank me. I don't outrank you. You have your authority, but you are a district judge. You are assigned to district cases. Stick to the cases within your district unless there is a class action suit that covers multiple districts. But you cannot send out national injunctions. That is only for the United States Supreme Court, according to the Constitution.
But
these district judges were not created by the Supreme Court.
Go ahead, Carrie.
They were created by the Congress.
So are there district judges that are stepping out of their lines and not being checked by their respective state that governs them?
Well, they're federal judges, so they should be checked by the Supreme Court.
Federal.
But guys,
are they
I learned
superior
about this
courts or?
I think that if the federal justice system has several different circuits, and then it travels from one federal court to the other until it gets to the Supreme Court. And so I think one of the things he's saying is that when a judge seeks to so severely limit the power, or not saying power, but the authority of the presidency to the degree that the president can't function, then that judge becomes the president. And so we have to take a look clearly at
it's what they call legislating from the bench.
Yeah.
That's also that's also the checks and balance as well, though. And it has to go through the due process, correct?
Well,
we have a due process. Yeah. So if a judge is checking, then that means it has to go back to Congress.
In order
and
to
then come back through in order for it to that's how it goes, right?
Yeah.
I just want to make sure
that's how it should go.
I mean, but are there things in Congress that are also working in conjunction with the stuff that the judges are doing?
What do you mean? Like
are there other players, representatives and senators, that are working in conjunction with the movements of the judicial branches in order to do this?
Yes, they do, and they manipulate the judicial by withholding appointees and approving.
Judge shopping.
Yeah, they go judge shopping for who. That's why the number one question is, well, how do you feel about X, Y, or Z? And they're expecting a judge to really say, and I don't know why they still do it, because these judges aren't stupid. They're not going to say, oh yeah, for sure, I would vote that way. No, the hell they won't. They're going to look at the evidence. Even the most blue liberal or red MAGA judge is not that stupid. They are going to look at what's in front of them. And if they still do it sideways, then God bless them.
Well, I think this goes back to local. If we can take it back to local, can we go back local?
Yeah, we can go back to local.
All right. So I think this goes back to the importance of voting locally, because there are people that you place in as an elected official.
We vote on our own judges here.
That appoints other more powerful people. Like, for example, you elect a clerk of court who appoints the magistrate. Do you understand what I'm saying? And so you elect a senator and a representative that appoints a federal judge. The district judges and the superior court judges, those all have to be, in the appellate judges, those all have to be voted for. And those are the elections that people tend to forget
they don't
about.
Know about.
Well, it's not so much that you don't know about.
Who has to be voted for? Because federal judges aren't.
No, not the federal, but the local and state judges that actually go all the way up to the superior court, because the federal judges fall under a different
but
process.
Those judges can't issue an injunction against the president.
No,
those
cannot.
are only federal judges that can do that.
Yeah, they can do everything that they can do is within the state bounds, and then they can push it up to the superior court. The Supreme Court. Yeah.
Well, a state judge has no jurisdiction federally. The plaintiffs can sue on the federal level, but that doesn't go through a state court. That goes straight to the federal court, to the district court. Then it moves up through the appellate process, and then it's supposed to move up to the Supreme Court to make a final decision. But it's supposed to work its way through. But what we're seeing happen is they are doing it backwards. They are issuing final, like when you hear a judge say, this is permanent, you cannot deport anyone, you don't have that authority. That authority is vested in the Supreme Court, the separate but equal branch of government. Those three branches, the legislative, the executive, and the Supreme Court, or the judicial branch, they are there to check and balance each other. District courts are not there to check and balance the executive branch. They are there to hear cases on the district level before they make it to the Supreme Court. But what is happening on the district level is district judges, these, as they call them, activist judges, are issuing nationwide injunctions and telling the executive, the chief executive of the country,
and they can
what
do
he can
that
and cannot do.
Until it gets struck
to
down.
Until it gets to the Supreme Court. Because once it gets to the Supreme Court,
due process. And
for better or for worse, that's a process.
Yes, and it takes time. We're not used to anything but instant gratification in this country.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this due process stuff,
Yeah.
and that's why I say that I'm going back to what I said earlier on how things are going to get a lot uglier before. So praying for peace and trying to keep my sanity. I'm sorry that might be the next few years.
I don't disagree with praying for peace, but I'm going to lock and load in the meantime.
You can lock and load.
I mean, does anybody disagree with me?
Let me tell you what the Bible
because
says.
You need to be prepared.
You got to.
Okay?
Yeah, because it
That's all there
says,
is to it.
be ye also ready.
Stay strapped.
Here's what
get
the Bible
clapped.
says on the matter. The Bible says, from the days of John the Baptist until now, the kingdom of God has suffered violence, and the violent must take it by force. There is a response that comes. We were not. It's like the guy who was fussing at me on Facebook earlier because I said if someone breaks into my house, they're going to see the ancestors. And then I was attacked. Oh, aren't you a bishop? I am a bishop, and may the Lord bless you and keep you. Because if you break into my house, I have a right to protect my home and my children.
Absolutely.
And you will meet the ancestors expeditiously.
I think they forgot there's an Old Testament part of our Bible that says eye for an eye type of stuff. So
see, what it is they understand that Jesus is the Prince of Peace, but what they fail to realize is that his Father is the God of war. And clearly throughout Scripture, God
and they
has
one in the
shown
same.
himself,
They one in the same.
exactly. God has shown himself to be the God of war. So there is absolutely no scripture where the Bible says just sit there and here's the thing. Oh, turn the other cheek. I only have two. When you get to that third one, we have a problem. Now you need to taste and see that the Lord is good.
Let's everybody not think about his cheeks. So what does everybody think about Trump's administration being compelled to bring back? It was Abrego Garcia. Or Kilmar, what is his name?
Kilmar Abrego Garcia.
Kilmar, but yeah. Okay, so they're going to bring him back, and then they just handed him a boatload of charges. He ain't ever going to see the light of day. They wanted it, though, so we gave him exactly what they wanted. He could have had a nice life in El Salvador, living with his homies in that big old jail.
Well,
and now he's going to be...
He wants to live in American jail.
Yeah, well, he's going to be in American jail now. Yeah, so I thought that was like troll level 2000.
Yeah, and it was good.
Oh, it's an inside. It's an inside thing. There's always more behind the scenes.
And then, of course, the liberal side, the liberal media has been portraying that as, oh, well, where were the charges before? They didn't have to file them because he wasn't here.
Yeah.
But
and
now
there you go.
I
mean, there's always there's always.
So, and the other thing I saw that was very interesting. Did you all see one of our favorite U.S. House of Representatives, Maxine Waters,
when they slammed the door in the face
with that staged? I'm a member of Congress,
and I'm here to exercise my authority.
It's like, who let her out of the old folks' home today? And when is the last time you think she darkened that door before it was advantageous for a photo op? These people don't care about you.
She found out quickly that her congressional authority has no authority.
That's right. He said, check with public affairs.
Exactly.
Slam the door.
Slam the door. Goodbye. So, did you see how she turned around with the look on her face?
Oh, yeah.
I can't believe you said no to me.
Go ahead, Auntie Maxine. Fix that wig and go.
She come around the cabinet. We'll tell her no plenty.
Yeah. Can we invite her on?
I'd love to invite her on.
Let's invite her.
Her and AOC. We got stairs, though. They might not be able. She might not be able to make it up.
We'll do it in the parking lot.
How would that?
We won't let her in the building when she tries.
We're going to do a special cabinet episode from Secrets Cabaret. We'll have AOC on. Okay.
Got to have Crockett there too.
I mean, hey. Oh yeah. Nappy Crockett. So, okay. So, all right, guys. That's enough politics.
Y'all need
for
to
national.
Clean that up.
Be nice, y'all. I can't believe you guys.
So,
there are two meetings coming up this week for the city. There is a Future of Our Community being hosted by Mayor Mitch Colvin. That's going to be Tuesday.
2050.
Yeah, the 2050 plan or something. Yeah, so he's trying to show us how he's going to leave his mark on the city, I guess. Some people are going to like that. Some people won't. And then on Wednesday, there is a city meeting on the future of the big corner at Blunt and Gillespie Streets in downtown Fayetteville. There's a big, I think it's 8 or 9 acres that's undeveloped. It's down there on Gillespie by the jail, on that end of it.
By the jail.
Well, so Gillespie runs in front of the jail.
Yes.
And the next light is Blunt Street when you leave Russell, from Russell. So it's between Russell and Blunt.
Where that one
and
house
Blunt,
is at.
Blount.
Russell has a Blunt.
Blount, I guess. Blount.
That's how I know
it's
I'm
not
in
a
the
Philly
country.
Blount. It's
That's
a Philly
how I know
Blount.
I live in the country. Because when you say the meeting is the future of the big corner, that is some country stuff. That is some down south stuff. I'm just being honest.
Yep.
You would never hear something like that in New York City. The future of the
Okay, well maybe let me make it urban for you. It's down there on the corner where the Stowe is.
Right next to the tire place.
Yeah.
See, y'all be giving some
all
real
right.
Southern
So
instructions.
the thing about that, so that has come up at the Chamber of Commerce and Government Relations, and we have our meeting tomorrow as well. But the importance of why the community needs to put input at this meeting is because they have, I don't know if you remember the Hope 6 project that was the government housing, Fayetteville Metropolitan Housing Authority built all those apartments on Old Wilmington Road. Well, apparently there's still funding left from that project that's burning a hole in the city's pocket. So they're going to spend this money. So now's our opportunity as citizens to participate and try to steer the conversation to maybe get a food hall, maybe get another park, maybe get something that would help.
Food hall.
Food hall, yeah, like they have one in Smithfield, I think, and they have one in Raleigh too. It's a big, just imagine a big warehouse with like a dozen tiny little restaurants.
Does Fayetteville really need to eat anymore?
I was getting ready to say, good green.
We got Baldinos. We
know what? I saw an
true,
article
but we can
about
sell some more Baldinos.
I saw an article just like while we were here. It popped up on my phone about like I guess there's a shortage of food in North Carolina, and I'm like, well, can they come to Cumberland County?
Yeah, because we got
if we don't have anything.
I think they meant there's a shortage of free
Josh,
food in North Carolina.
No, there's plenty of free food too. Because when I listened to Pastor Josh talking about how much food he done gave out all he could and had to throw away buckets of food, and then all the food that gets thrown away at the grocery stores, and then when I hear about
give their food away too,
and then when I hear about the pantry that is like stocked, like we getting ready to go to, like we are at Civil War, which we probably gonna need that pantry soon. So maybe I might want to be quiet, and y'all ain't hear this if y'all live in a different county. Okay, don't come to Cumberland County. We don't have any food here. I'm telling stories, but. It's too much. It's so much food that sometimes I do believe you will see food on the streets because the homeless is tired of it.
You see that already. Like
the homeless eat well here, and Bishop told me that a long time ago.
When you go over by Operation Inasmuch, after they leave breakfast, you have food all over the place because they throw the stuff away. There was times where I've given, like true story. I was at Wendy's on Rowan, and came out. Got me my hot, spicy chicken sandwich.
Don't tell me.
I love it. I love that sandwich. That
happened to me once.
And the lady walks up to my truck, and she's like, I'm hungry. Can you help me? I said, well, I'm not going to give you no money, but if you're hungry, I'll give you something to eat. She said, okay, I'm real hungry. So I gave her my spicy, crispy chicken sandwich.
Fresh off the block.
She took the sandwich, opened it up, looked through it, said, I don't want this, and threw it back in my truck into the windshield. She was blessed that I was on my way to church because the devil was on one side saying, run her over. The Holy Ghost was on the other side saying, get to the sanctuary. I listened to the Lord, but I was mad because I'm like, I'm trying to help you. The people in this county, they are homeless. They are not hungry. Uncle Carl feeds them just about every week. They get his good old barbecue and flip-flop sauce. I mean, you got one organization after the other feeding, dropping off food. The restaurants in Fayetteville
we don't need no more. We don't need no more food halls. We don't need no more food halls.
We
got food trucks.
This is your chance, fellow citizens, to come to the meeting with me, and we can see if we can affect some change.
Let's not have a food hall.
Because there's only two slim people in here, and it ain't the three of us.
That's right. So
we big in Cumberland County.
Since last week,
actually, the four of us. I mean, the only slim one.
Well, Jim over here called himself fat. But
okay, maybe he was talking about Leonard.
Moving on, last week we had one more person announced for running for mayor of Fayetteville.
Woohoo!
His name is Paul Williams. He's a former city councilman. He's had quite a bit of tragedy in his life in the last couple of years. He did lose another daughter to kidnap and murder earlier this year. He will be coming on the show in a couple of weeks. He has a lot to say about our county and the way it's run at the judicial, so I'm kind of excited to hear from him.
Well, I think that's the wrong race then. If
if
you're going for mayor.
Well, I want to hear his story, and that's what we're going to have him in here for. And it was somebody that I considered reaching out to earlier this year, but because of the just the raw nerves I felt the man
He's
had. I
facing
didn't
those
want to reach
storms,
out.
brother.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, that's good.
So who all do we have running for mayor now?
So we have
Mario
okay, so
B.
Paul Williams, Mario Bay, Freddie De La Cruz, and now these are announced people, Kathy Jensen.
And Kathy
Yes.
Jensen. So that's 4.
So the rumor mill's telling me that there's at least one
5
other
more.
conservative that wants to run, and there's one other liberal that might come out of the woodwork. And we still have no idea who's going to run for city council because all 9 seats are going to be up for that.
Mm-hmm. Well, we definitely because
Well, you know who's
Mario's
not going to
seat
run?
and the other one.
Who's
well,
not
Kathy
running?
can't run for council; she's running for mayor.
And neither can
Mario,
Mario.
And
neither
Mario
can Mario.
cannot. So that's 2 seats that are opening up
1
right
and
now.
3 are definitely open.
And that brings me back to personal business. That's why the Resource Center exists, is if you're on the fence as a candidate or as a citizen and you don't know, if you want to run and risk your family or livelihood, you come see us and we're going to help you so you're not out here on an island.
And I actually just saw a flyer, and I didn't get it to put it in the chamber news, but I just saw a flyer that Longleaf Pine Realtor, their government
Candidates Academy.
relationships.
Yeah.
Yep, they're going to do a candidates academy.
So,
At the end
of the
there's
month.
2. There's the
So if you
Candidate
need
Academy from Longleaf Pines,
Mhm.
and then there's the
then
candidates. What do we call
candidates,
ours?
It's a candidates academy.
Candidate Academy. So
that we do with the chamber.
through
But it-
government relations, we're going to have the Candidate Academy. That's where we teach these guys when they're out here spouting all this nonsense. We're going to teach them how the city and county works, how government works, how to get things done. The Candidates Academy at the Longleaf Pines is how you run a campaign, the mechanics of raising money and marketing and all this other stuff. So they're 2 very different things. They're both named the Candidate Academy because we just don't have any originality, I guess, on my committee at Chamber. But they're very important. We're also going to host the Candidate Forum in October, just after the primary.
Is that going to be the one at Fayetteville Tech?
That'll be at Fayetteville
That'll
Tech
be
in that big
Fayetteville Tech.
auditorium.
In the whole auditorium.
I think you're going to find with my input on government relations that we're not going to be rude to anybody, but we're not going to let them by with softball questions either.
Good.
I mean,
Very
we're
good.
gonna challenge these guys and give them a format that I need to know that they're thinking and they know how to tie their shoes, or as my grandfather used to say, walk and chew gum. Want to turn our attention to something that did happen last week. Kind of a big bummer for me. I do sit on the Civic Center Commission, Cumberland County Civic Center Commission Board, and that's the commission charged with overseeing Crown Center operations. So the Crown Coliseum, Event Center, all that stuff. County Commission killed the downtown Crown Event Center.
Yes.
It was a 5-2 vote to cancel the project. They've already spent $40 million. I'm waiting for
steel.
So I'm waiting for clarification to find out of the $40 million. I know they've spent 10 for sure, but they say they have encumbered all 40. So I'm trying to find out what kind of government gobbledygook financial accounting that means.
Now,
But
is it possible that, like, there's something in the contract that says if you cancel the contract, there's a penalty?
so what?
Possibly with the subcontracts.
Yeah.
Because they were
Yeah.
put out to bid.
Yeah.
Those contracts, that contract was put out to bid, and I do believe like there were some basic things that were won, and then I don't know if any infrastructure was purchased.
So here's the thing.
And they did do some demolition.
They demoed the parking lot of the courthouse. They've already purchased the steel for the building as designed. So that can't really go back unless we're going to sell it for pennies on the dollar, which is just ridiculous. So this is what a lot of people don't understand with the way government builds stuff. So we all pay property taxes. That all gets dumped into one big bucket. Okay. And that's what's called the general fund of the county. So they have like $300 million a year flowing in and out of there. Well, with the event center, they needed to get started on phase 1 and 2. So the county commission, not this board, but the one they previous, says, okay, we're going to write a check out of our general fund to get this thing going. And then when we get to phase 3, which is at the point that it's been canceled now, we're going to borrow money. We're going to pay our fund back. And then we're going to just finance the rest. So my question is, and what I have not been able to find out is, where the hell's our $40 million? Because also, I want you all to remember this. We just went through a revaluation where people's homes went up at least 83% in value. Now, they also have to determine what's called a revenue neutral rate. So for them to get the same budget they had last year with these elevated valuations, do they need 50 cents? Do they need, because our rate was like 79 cents per 100 before. So it will drop. But now they're going to review the budget, and if there's missing $40 million, Where's it going to come from?
Somebody going to jail.
Well, so
No, somebody's going to put a penny or two on the scale and raise that tax rate.
yeah.
So I got to pay it so nobody
But
go
that
to jail.
could be.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, if they go because they still have to get this loan, right? Or have they already
See,
got
I don't know. See, that's
So,
okay.
that,
So,
like, to me, it sounds like they still got to get this loan, and in order for them to not raise taxes, then they might actually borrow more, so they don't have to raise taxes to cut the.
first of all, our county is in very good shape when it comes to borrowing money. I think our overall debt is only like $20 million, and I'm saying that like it's nothing. But Wake County has like $2 billion that they
Yeah.
owe.
I mean,
Okay,
but
so
that's Wake
I mean,
County.
$20 million is we're good. Okay. And we were going to be able to have debt on the event center. But the idea was we wrote the check out. Basically, we wrote the check out of our account. We were supposed to finance it in cash back. But my issue, and, you know, the people that voted against it, I consider them friends of the cabinet and friends of our community. I don't feel like they're bad people. It's just that the reasons for the cancellation, to me, were not as clear as they should have been. And that meeting on Wednesday, I was hoping was going to be a presentation less than a decision to kill it. One thing that commission did not do was come to their citizen commission board that I sit on. None of this. Everything took everybody blindsided. There was radio silence. I really just want to know more reasons why, because now they're proposing to redo the existing Crown
They're gonna
Theater
rehab it, yeah.
and the Crown Auditorium or the arena. So I have those numbers just to refurbish the arena where it is now on 301. They want $71 million just to renovate that one. Now let's start back. The Crown Event Center downtown had a total budget of $145 million. So they want to dump half of that into redoing some old arena to do some tractor pulls. That's number one. Two, for the theater, that's a 2,400 seat theater right now, to renovate it just so it complies to ADA would be like $20 million. Okay, so that's 90. But then they have options to not only renovate it, but modernize the 2,400 seats. That's like $50 million. There's 130.
So did they throw? I'm sorry for interrupting. Because see, now I'm getting kind of confused.
Yeah, me too.
So did they throw the arena in with this? Because technically, it was just the theater
That's
that needed to have been replaced, and it was just the theater that we were talking about. And okay, so I'm not sure if you guys know. And by the way, I think I'm graduating next week, but from the County Citizens Academy. So when they were talking about it, like there's parts of the Crown that are getting ready to undergo renovations, and they have other renovations that are undergoing, and that's courtesy of our food tax. So when you go and you drink and you eat here throughout Cumberland County, you are helping them pay that bill for that renovation.
I need to
That aspect, but that's the
Crown
arena
is
aspect.
Constantly being
Renovated
and updated.
Well, this is
it is 30 years.
This is like a major update. Like you know that the ballrooms will not look the same when they're going to be closing down the ballrooms, and the ballrooms will not look the same. And the theater has to close. Like that's a mandatory. It has to close because of ADA compliance.
Well, it has to close unless we show good faith that we're moving ahead, like with the event center downtown, and then that would naturally be able to extend the life of the theater as it is now. But let me finish this progression. So, to modernize and renovate, the 2,400 seats is one number. But then if they want to make it comparable to what they wanted downtown, the 3,000 seats, $120 million. Plus 71, that's 191.
Well, I don't know. My
So
memory.
it started off at 145. We canceled it because it's going to be too expensive. But the two supreme options, we put it at 190.
But I don't know. My memory, it may not be the best. But
It's
we
that
might have to
Common
go
Core
back
math.
through. We might have to go back through like the podcast and stuff. But I do believe that either when you were running for a county commissioner, or I don't know if it was Patel or Henry, either way, we was having this conversation about the Crown, and we had already said that it was going to be more expensive for them to rebuild on site versus for them to build it downtown. Like downtown was
I think what we
lesser
were discussing
option.
was in 2015, the county management was tasked from county commission, go tell me how much it would cost to update what we have. And back then, and this came up in our commission meeting about last month, the number from 2015 was a range of 50 to 70 million. Okay, 10 years ago, 50 to 70 million. What would that be in $2025 now? would it be
what
the
you
same?
just said.
No.
180.
Well, yeah, I mean,
No, what you
that's
just
what I mean.
said is what it would
the
be.
inflation would have been $100 million easy.
Yeah.
Okay, so renovating the thing, and as I was quoted in Fayetteville Observer, putting lipstick on a pig is not what this community needs.
Mm-hmm.
We were promised economic development 30 years ago when they placed the Crown Coliseum there to be next to the theater and the arena, when they could have put it by, and we can't cry over spilt milk now,
Mm-hmm.
where the jail is, the Cumberland County Jail currently sits, was one of the sites of the Coliseum.
Wow.
Imagine if the Coliseum, Crown Coliseum, was right there.
Okay, hold up. So they were going to tear down the jail.
No.
No, the jail wasn't.
The
The
jail
jail
wasn't
was
there.
not going to be
The
there.
jail
Okay,
was in the
this
law
was
enforcement
before.
center.
The jail was in the law
So you know where the
enforcement
sheriff's
center.
department and the courthouse is. So
Yeah.
the top 2 or 3 floors of the law enforcement center, if you go down there at night, you'll see the lights on. You'll still see bars on the window. That was
Yeah.
the actual jail.
Just like the jail was also the historical courthouse before
Mhm.
it was over to the law enforcement center.
Yeah.
Which actually, when all of this happened, I think I texted somebody. They were texting me back and forth about everything going on. And I was like, oh, well, they probably just going to put a jail there anyway. So maybe they'll put a new jail in front of the courthouse.
let's hope not. Because here's the
Because
thing.
then they
Look,
could get some more money in.
if you want to spur economic development, you don't put more government buildings there. Okay? They go out to lunch. That's about all the economic driver you're going to have. If you want economic development, you have to work with quality of life issues
Yep.
and where people are safe to live, work, and play.
Mm-hmm.
Mixed use housing,
Those are your
and
economic
retail,
drivers.
and absolutely.
Yeah.
So if they want more government buildings, you know where they need to go? 301.
I was going to
Let
say,
them
how
clean
can
up
we?
301 with the government being present.
But they
and-
can't clean up 301. You
Why
remember
not?
we had this discussion last week. You remember? You were here.
Why can't they clean
We
up
were
301?
talking about 301 because of the whole you can't go on private property and take nobody's stuff. And I'm against, I'm with the whole do no harm and don't take my stuff, right? However, 301, like, we need somebody
The
that
sheriff has
can
already-
buy them out.
The sheriff has already seized several of those roach motels out there. My point is, this is 35 years in the making as a citizen growing up there in Fayetteville, okay? I remember when it wasn't out there.
Okay, so now that it's seized, are you saying that now that they have taken possession of it, we can now have a builder come in and demolish it? Is that what you're saying?
Eventually, yeah. It goes through a legal
Is this
process.
like another
So
10 more years?
The,
that
yes,
due process stuff?
because
Adios,
the
señor.
way the sheriff was able to seize the property was through a nuisance abatement ordinance. And
Yes.
that's very nuanced. There's a lot they have to prove, but eventually they'll get their due.
Yeah, they did.
And eventually it will be sold at auction or raised and used for a governmental
Is there-
purpose.
So is there a way we as the people of this great county can expedite that? Because we want to see this economic growth, especially with 685 coming down the way, where you could get onto 95 in 2 different directions, and technically 301 is 95 business. So is there any way that we as the people can help expedite this? Because,
So
that's a thorn in the crown side
I
as
think
well.
to answer your point, no, unless we get involved and stay involved. And as I've been doing, like with the cabinet here, we have constant broadcasts to bring attention to this stuff. I'm not doing it for my health and not just because I'm handsome and need to be seen. I'm doing it because we have to keep bringing. I'm not a
to make
braggadocious
it
either.
a point.
But we have to make it a point to keep talking about these things. I had a conversation with a couple people that are very active in Hope Mills today that
Mhm.
were former board members that I'm going to bring on as hosts. Because we have to separate the emotion from the fact.
Yeah.
We have to, on Facebook, if you see about the Crown being canceled, there's a lot of people, what about the homeless and what about the clean water? We are big enough adults to be able to do a little bit of everything.
Yeah,
We
can.
can get, so all of this is interconnected with quality of life. You want to fix homelessness? Why don't you bring some jobs? You want to fix the schools? Bring some jobs. Because if you have a better tax base, you can have a better school, period. And nobody of these big companies is going to locate here if the executives are going to send their kids to a school where we graduate illiterate seniors.
Well,
so here's the thing,
Go
right?
ahead,
how do you fix it
301 is
with a
301 is so 301 is prime to me. It's prime location, and I'm not saying that because of the simple fact that I live 10 minutes from 301. But I mean, you have the airport there is easy to 95, get to 95 off of 5 different exits off of 301. And so if you were a business, like to me, I'm not understanding why someone doesn't want to go in there and like twist the, not really twist the arms, not twist the arms, but so 301 to me, it is as advantageous as it is to me as property. It also, because no one is acting on it, is creating a safe haven for human trafficking. And when I was discussing with someone at the academy after the event, like the Coliseum Hotel that they just did the nuisance abatement now, right? Like I want to say over half of the fentanyl cases that happened in the county happened at that hotel.
Yeah, that's nuts. Yeah, that's.
Do you understand what I'm saying? Like over half happened at that hotel.
The dopers know where to get the dope.
And the traffickers
the
know where to
traffic. Know where the crime is happening. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, I agree. But you know what 301 is to me? As growing up here, it's a lost and spoiled dream. When my father came to this country in 1968, I had an uncle that was running the 301 Truck Stop Cafe. Wow. Okay, that is ancient history. 1960s early. My dad came in 68. 301 hasn't exactly gotten better.
No.
And for you, you're talking about starting from a negative. It's like when you're digging a hole and it's over your head, you should stop digging.
Yeah.
We gave 301 the injection in the arm of giving it the Coliseum. What did it do?
No, but see, that's what I'm saying. You can't just put an event center behind some crappy hotels that are already crappy. Like they was crappy. Those hotels were crappy 30 years ago. And I haven't. I mean, they were crappy 30 years ago. I mean, and I didn't even live here 30 years ago. But if Cumberland County is anything like Richmond County, there's some hotels that was crappy 30 years ago, and they look just like those hotels on 301. And so you putting an event center is not going to do that. But if you do like what you did with that one property that was across from you, if you tear it down and you clean the site, now you can see with a different pair of eyes. And I'm just saying, you don't have to bring a builder in
You're
right
saying
away.
Just tear it down
just
and keep
take
raw
it down.
land. Okay.
Let raw land.
Okay.
Keep it raw.
I want you to look. So my mom and my sister went to Greece this morning. I dropped her off at the Fayetteville airport. My mom hadn't been on a plane in 30 years. So to Greece. She went to the motherland, so they didn't invite me though, so whatever. Yeah, I'll take you to the airport.
You wouldn't have
went. You're right, probably wouldn't have. But anyway, that's besides the point. I got left out. Anyway, somebody's gonna hear and look after dad, so here I am. Hey, I'm a good son, generally. So I took my mom down there. My dad was riding with us, of course, and my dad's like, ain't nothing changed down here. My dad ain't been down 301 and I don't know how long, but and then my mom, they were just making remarks about how depressed it looked. I wasn't prompting the conversation at all. I mean, they were volunteering, and I urge anybody to drive down there, even great grandsons. The place that took over, I think, was the old Hardee's down there.
Oh, but they're closing.
They got evicted. There was an eviction. So, and I'm not here to bash on whatever the heck happened there, but if a business is doing well, they normally don't get evicted.
No, they're moving to K&W.
I know they are. I know, but that still doesn't justify why they got evicted. There's a way to get out of your lease
properly.
Yeah. So I don't know what happened. I'm just saying, if you drive out there, you have self-storages and rundown motel shells.
Yep. And all the way up to George W. Owen Drive.
I did remark right at the Walmart intersection down there at Black Decker, I think, or is that the airport road? The homeless were out pretty early. It was about 7:30. They were already out there panhandling. So.
They were technically out there all night.
Probably.
I mean, because there's an encampment not too far from there, and there's actually probably several. So
look,
that is true.
I appreciate the hustle. They were there early, but again, not a great look for our gateway to our city.
It's not.
But
that's where all your major shipping is at. All your major shipping corridors right there.
I'll tell you what happened with grandson.
I'm just saying that, like, if you go, just go with me on this ride to the glimmer of hope, okay? If you go past George W. Owen Drive and you keep on going down 301, you'll see less storage and you'll see more business. You'll see more development, possible foreseeable development. I mean, we have Wawa's getting ready to be right at our back door with the first ever travel center on the East Coast. will be, yes, it's going to be right there off of Corporate Drive in Hope Mills.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be open up very soon.
We have big things, but I'd like to see something better than just another restaurant. That's coming from a
we
restaurateur because we do not create jobs. We take advantage of the citizens. We take advantage of the business that's there.
We
Okay?
have to tear it down.
I need the titanium plant. We're going to lose 180 jobs at the old Monsanto plant. The recycling people out there, 180 jobs just vanished. And they are not being given any kind of training or anything. So there's a thing called the North Carolina WARN Act that talks about when a company closes, you have to give these employees certain notices and all. Usually it deals with a unionized shop. But you got 180 guys here now and women that were probably making 30 and 40,000 at least. And so we're going to have almost 200 people out of work here. We need to bring these jobs back. Even if we cobble together 10 and 15 and 20 at a time, you want to solve poverty, you got to build prosperity.
Yeah,
You cannot spend your way out of a homeless problem.
We get an extended version because I know you're trying to close out.
We get an extended version. Yeah, we just keep going. It's all right. If I want to close out, I'll do this.
I felt it though. Like I felt it coming. No, I was just, so.
No, so in all honesty, I like to pull the music on. I'm just going to pull back right now. I'm not going to do that to you, but I just had my finger on the button, and we can keep talking a little bit. And we do want to go because I'm hungry. And
yeah, everybody's hungry.
But
it's 1,000 restaurants here in Fayetteville.
You can't worry about it.
I never really missed one of them, as you can tell.
Choose one, brother.
Yeah.
But no, these things are very important, and that's one thing. Like people are saying, it's just an event center. Okay. Yeah, it's some building. Maybe it was going to get fully utilized. Maybe it was going to lose some money a year or make money. I don't know. But what I know is the longer that we keep acting like we're a little town, that we don't have big city problems, the longer we're going to flounder with just ineffective leadership, with wasting money. I mean,
I agree with you.
And I always accuse City of Fayetteville City Council of being addicted to consultants. They love calling a consultant to solve their problem because nobody's got the stones to stand up and say what they think can happen. Oh, let's get a study.
Well, it's not. You know what?
I'm not trying to throw shade on the consultants of the world. I mean, there's some good ones, but I'm pretty sure we can muster and put people in office that are smart enough to figure stuff out.
But they don't study. So we got to get a study.
That's
well,
right.
not just that. They have to also be able to be that voice. So they can be in the office and they can actually make the statements. But what else are you going to do? I was having a conversation with somebody earlier today, and it's like you talk in the rooms that you don't have power in, but in the rooms that you have power in,
you keep
quiet.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm
That's
saying?
real smart, Carrie.
Yeah.
That's
Like if
good.
So how are you really moving in this thing? Do you understand what I'm saying? So you have people, you go out and you get consultants for something that you probably already had a conversation. You probably had a meeting for a meeting about a meeting to talk about, and everybody has talked
Having
about
more
that
meetings.
same,
Yeah.
but everybody has talked about those same issues. So you have a consultant come and tell you what you've talked about, but then you still don't move off of what you talked about.
Yep.
You
Carrie,
know?
you know what? You smart. That's why
Sometimes.
you graduate next
Profound.
week.
Sometimes
Yeah.
it's like, she's got a moment about
Sometimes
it.
I might have,
So, all right, final thought time. Anybody? Bishop, do you have any final thoughts about national, political, local? What you got?
I say you have a right to protest. You don't have a right to tear people's stuff up and tear up stuff that you can't afford to pay for. I think we need to, it's all about law and order. I am hopeful and prayerful that these types of protests do not find their way. I know they're in Raleigh, but I'm hoping they don't find their way to Cumberland County and to Fayetteville. So, but that's all I got. I'm hungry, so I don't have a lot of.
Okay, sounds good. I'm going to Leonard now. So, final thoughts for the day?
I just think that with riot stuff, this immigration stuff, this president stuff, let what the president's doing play out. The guy passed the First Steps Act, which was responsible for, to date, that I know of, freeing about 5,000 low-level offenders from prison. He was responsible for opportunity zones, which took $1 billion of capital to the most stressed economic areas of our country. The guy wouldn't do that if he was a racist. What he does care about is making sure that the country itself has the ability to stand up and shake some of these shackles off, tariffs, all of the weight that comes with illegal immigration. I think the guy's on the right track. I hope people give him a chance.
Yeah.
Okay. Carrie, got anything to add before I'm going to play the music on you.
Well, if the oldest town in Virginia can bring forth change through demolition, then
We can do
Cumberland
it here.
County can do it too.
Okay.
No more restaurants.
Well, my dears, our 60 minutes is up and we're in overtime, so I appreciate you staying around. So I want to say a special thank you to our on-air cabinet members, Bishop J. Antoine Miner,
There.
Miss Carrie J. Always a pleasure. Thank you for being
Yes,
here.
thank you.
And special guest Leonard Bryant.
Woo-hoo.
Always good to see you, my friend. We'll come
Good
back
to be
soon.
seen. Good
So,
seeing you.
to our audience, I hope you'll do us a favor and take time this week to visit one of our commercial sponsors and let them know you heard their message right here on the Carolina Cabinet. If you do somehow miss an episode of our top-rated show,
Top rated.
you can find us everywhere on your favorite podcast broadcaster, Apple, Spotify, Google, Audible, we're everywhere, so just Google us. Look for us online at thecarolinacabinet.com where you can find all of our shows and videos. Thanks again for tuning in this morning. Until next time, we are
The
The Carolina
Cabinet.
Cabinet.
Getting that like booty here.